Today I'm sitting in my kitchen. Do you want to know why? You guessed it! No, you probably didn't. We're talking about noodles! Roll call! Got some alphabet ceramics for you. Alphabet. I have 2 of these. What am I doing? So, let's get into it. Alrighty, you need to wedge because wedging, you already know. And then slap that sucker on the table a bajillion times. Of course, that's to make it flat so that we can roll it out way easier. And roll, flip. You know the drill, my friends. And yes, you know that I know that there are bubbles and I'm going to get them out. Somehow, when I roll out slabs, I always have bubbles. And when I throw, they only pop up occasionally. I'm sorry, I had to. I was faced with an opportunity that I could not pass up. And as always, compress it with your rubber rib. And let's go ahead and give that sucker a wash down with your sponge. Make it nice and smooth. What you're gonna need is some baby powder or cornstarch, a sheet of foam for your template, 2 round cookie cutters, and a beautiful embossed rolling pin of your choice. I'm using bumblebees. My template measurements are 12 by 4. And my cookie cutters measure to approximately 3.5 and 4 inches. Let's grab our template and see if we can get more than 1 out of this slab, which I can. I'm gonna go ahead and pre-cut because my roller is not big enough to roll out for 2. Make sure that you move those out of the way and then let that wet spot dry a little bit before you start going with your stuff. And now it is time for the baby powder. That's right, folks, baby powder or cornstarch, whatever you prefer or whatever you have around. We are going to sprinkle this on top so that whenever we roll our embossed rolling pin over our clay, it does not stick to it because it will. Now, what you want to do is start a little bit further away than the very edge. Don't worry, we can cut this part off. We just don't want the beginning to stick to our rolling pin. And before you cut off the excess, go ahead and lift it up off the table so it's not harder to get off the table once you've cut it. Now rinse and repeat. Not really, don't rinse it, but repeat it. Now my embossed rolling pin is made out of wood and it's laser cut, so it has a little bit of rough edges on the inside. So I'm gonna go ahead and smooth this out with my sponge. Now don't you worry about that baby powder and the cornstarch. It's gonna fire its way out of there in the kiln. And now I'm gonna do the same thing with the end excess pieces for the bottom. Now this, my friends, is what happens whenever you start at the very edge. So again, start a little bit lower down, add a little bit more pressure as you go on. See? Much better. Now I actually need 4 of the larger size, and then we're gonna do 2 of the smaller size, and you will see exactly why, because it sounds a little weird, but we're gonna be making a foot. So 2 of the larger size is actually going to be the bottom of the vessel, and then what we're gonna do is cut out a ring to act as the foot and then attach it all together. So what I'm doing right here is lining up my edges so that I have a clear guideline as to where to put my smaller cookie cutter so that I have a nice even ring for the foot. Line them up and go ahead and attach. Of course, scoring and slipping both pieces. Smush, smush, smush. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Let's get on with the show. And now what we're gonna do is clear a spot for the words to go. We also wanna make sure that whenever we attach the sides, it's seamless. So what I'm gonna do is at an angle, cut both sides. Now they need to be at the same angle so that they fit together just so. And after you've cut them, they should make a little rectangle just like this. Now let's talk about the noodles. And what I mean here is ABC noodles. This is an amazing way to make words that look perfect in your clay. You can also use little stamps. I will show you an example of how I use these stamps. Pick whichever letters you need, put them on one at a time, smooth out those rough corners because of course it is a stamp, so there's gonna be little square corners that you're gonna wanna rub away with your finger. And voila, beautiful. I got these little guys at Hobby Lobby. All right, back to the noodles. Now you're gonna want to press these in. I kind of squish them in with my nails so that they actually are flush with the rest of the surface of your clay. Now these will actually soak up some of the moisture and enlarge a little bit. So if they look like they are coming up over the edge of your clay, don't sweat it, that's normal. Now that I have the word B, I'm going to take my pen tool and begin outlining the word joyful. Score and slip both the slanted edges, stand it up on end, and attach, smoothing them out on the inside only. Now let's flip it over and attach the bottom. Make sure that that bottom piece is at leather hard before you attach it because the middle will sag if you don't. To give the bottom a seamless look, use your nail to pull the clay from the wall to the bottom or vice versa, and then smooth it out with your sponge. Make a handle and attach it at the leather hard stage as well. If you're at a loss for which kind of handle to make, I have made 3 videos just about handles, so go check those out. Now that this is leather hard, I'm going to take my curved knife tool and finish carving out the word joyful. Then I'm going to go ahead and smooth out those letters with my wet paintbrush, just some water to make it nice and smooth. See, my noodles have started to retain some of that water and expand, and if I press it, you can see how it will start to mess up the noodle itself. There's no need to take these out. We are just going to fire them. Now, when you bisque these, make sure that they are very, very dry. It might take a bit longer for these to get to bone dry just because of those noodles, so be patient. And fire them on a slow setting with the peephole open longer than normal to let out all that moisture being retained. And yes, I use this technique on the Java the Cup mug. If you haven't checked that video out, you should do that. I am going to be using a dropper container with watered down black underglaze. That is going to help me to fill in my Be Joyful phrase without having to do a whole lot of cleanup. I used 10 parts underglaze and 1 part water. Now, if you do have to clean this up, it is super easy for you to just grab a sponge and dab it off. It's good as new. See? Now time for glazing. When you do your first and second layers of glaze over the recessed areas, try your hardest not to get glaze inside of it because you won't be able to see the black very well and the words might disappear altogether. If you're nervous, do the same thing you did with the black underglaze with some clear glaze and just pipe it in there. That way, they're sure to show up well. Of course, got to glaze the bottom, and let's do our glaze firing. time for the reveal. Let's see how they came out. These are awesome. Now I wanted to show you, I used a special glaze that actually looks completely different when you put it over red versus white clay. So this one is actually red clay and this one is white clay. You can see from the bottom, and they look like two completely different glazes. So I hope that was really entertaining for you and hopefully helpful. I know it seems like common sense. Yes, you stick noodles into your pottery and fire it and it goes away. Cool. Well, sometimes there's a little bit more to it. So I hope you got something out of this video and I hope you loved it. If you didn't, then bye. But if you did like it, you could share it with your friends on social media or text message or whatever. Or you could hit the like button, or you could subscribe if you haven't already, or you could watch a video or a playlist. Either one works. If not, that's fine. Okay, I'm just gonna roll on out of here. Okay, bye.